Hi everybody, it's Karen here from tuppenscolour.co.uk and thank you very much for joining me. This is what I'm going to be making today. It is a nice, clean and simple Christmas card. If you'd like to see how I made it, please stay watching and I will show you. Here are the supplies that I'm using for this card. The base is Thick Whisper White, which is 5 3/4 by 11.5 and scored and folded at the halfway mark, which is 5 3/4, to make me a square card. I have a piece of Cherry Cobbler, which is 5.5 inches square, and a piece of ordinary Whisper White, which is 5 1/4 inches square. I'm using the Holly Jolly Greetings set, and I'm using Cherry Cobbler ink. I've got the Cherry Cobbler Silky Taffeta ribbon, which is in the combo pack, and that's in the autumn winter catalogue. I'm also going to be using the large letters dies, and I'm going to be using my Stamp-A-Majig as well. And the usual things, the adhesives and the tape and all of those things, I'm going to be using those as well. So that's what I'm going to be using today to make this card. I'm going to be doing the stamping first today, and to help me get it in exactly the right place and nice and straight, I'm going to use my Stamp-A-Majig. Now if you've never used a Stamp-A-Majig before, never seen it or never heard of one, this is how it works. It's two pieces. It's a handle and an imaging sheet. Now the imaging sheet is reusable. Some people use bits of vellum, bits of acetate, anything that you can see through. I like to use the sheet that came with it. The handle can be used left-handed or right-handed. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to use it this way. And the way you do it is this. You start with your imaging sheet, butt it up nice and snugly into the corner that the handle is made. Can you see that? Then you go ahead and you take the stamp that you want to use. In this case it says Season Of, and you ink it up. The only thing I would say is don't use StazOn. Okay, even if you're going to be using StazOn on your project, don't use StazOn on this, because you will find it a bit difficult to get it off afterwards. But most inks come off quite easily. Right, now I'm going to place my stamp so that it is right up again in that right angle formed at the corner of the Stamp-A-Majig, and I'm just going to press down. Okay, and that has now given me, okay, on my base card I've drawn myself a light pencil line where I want my wording to go, and I'm going to bring back the imaging sheet and I'm just going to line it up pretty much where I want that wording to be. And when I'm happy with it, I'm going to come back with the handle, and I'm just going to make sure that that's all butted up nice and neatly, and I've got a nice good fit there. So I can take that away, bring in my stamp, ink it up, make sure I've got a good, whoops, and that moved. Start again. I've drawn myself a light pencil line. I've drawn a light pencil line across the top of my card, which is where I want the wording to sit. So I'm going to bring back my imaging sheet, which is here, and I'm going to decide whereabouts I want that to go on to my card, which is about there. Bring back the handle and make sure that those are lined up nicely, and when I'm happy with that, I can take that away. I can ink up my stamp, put it up nice and tight into that corner angle, and just press down and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there is my word exactly where I want it. Now I'm going to let that ink dry for a little bit, and eventually I will rub away that pencil line and you will never know it was there. I've got the letters J, O and Y out of the large letters framelets, and I'm going to start by centering up the letter O, and I'm using my ruler to help me, so I want to make sure that that is on the center line, and I'm going to tack it down with a bit of masking tape, low tack tape I should say really. So let's get that nice and straight, and I'm going to be using my ruler to help me line things up here. So I'm going to go and cut that one out first, and I will be right back. So this is going to go through the big shot. Right, so the aperture for my O is in place, and now I'm going to cut out the J and the Y, and I'm going to use my ruler again to help me get the bottom alignments. Okay, now I've done the same thing, and I've just cut those two pieces out. Use the ruler to help me. And you might be asking yourself, well, why didn't you just run them all through at once? Wouldn't that have been easier? And there are a couple of reasons. One is that the cutting edge on these dies is on the inside of the letter, not on the outside. So if I lined it up with the, you know, so that it looked right from the back when I was putting it together, my letters would have been just a little bit too far apart, and I didn't want that to happen. So that's one reason. And the other reason is that, you know, this die set is probably the most costly in the entire catalogue. And although I didn't pay anything like the catalogue price for it, because being a demonstrator, there were a couple of incentives that I could, you know, that I could take advantage of. I had, you know, flex points, and I had obviously my own demonstrator discount. So that brought it down to what was for me an affordable price. But nevertheless, they were still, you know, a fair old chunk of money. And there is always a risk when you run two or more dies through the machine at the same time that one of them will slip, and if it slips and it makes a mess of your bit of paper, it's a bit of paper, it's not the end of the world. But if they cross over each other when they're going through the machine, like something like that, you know, it's thousands of pounds of pressure on that die and that bit of paper when it's going through the machine, and it will break your die. It's one of the very, very few things that can actually destroy your dies, and I just didn't want to risk that happening, quite honestly. So that was the reason why I did it. Right. Okay, I'm going to stick this down to the cherry cobbler card, and I'm going to use wet glue. Use my Tombow for the purpose, and I'm going to make sure that I do put some adhesive, little spots just around the edge of my letters. Okay, and I'm just going to line that up onto my piece of cherry cobbler, and very gently just press it down. Now I'm going to take the letter O that I cut, and I'm going to put that back in the middle of where it used to be, and I'm to put a little bit of adhesive onto the back of the piece that came out of the middle. I'm just going to fit that in to there and take out the other piece. I'll use my paper piercing tool to help me. And there I have my word Season of Joy. This is the Cherry Cobbler Silky Taffeta ribbon, and I'm just going to tie a nice pretty bow, I hope. I hope it's a pretty bow anyway. I'm going to tie a bow. And I'm just going to play with this until it's how I like it. So just do a little bit of bow wrangling here. And there we go. That I think will do it. And I've got my ribbon scissors here, because I did try cutting earlier on with my paper snips, and to be honest, it mauled the ribbon rather than cutting it. And see, I've got a different charm on the end of these so that I can tell them apart, and I only use those for ribbon. I don't use them for anything else. Well, ribbon and fabric. And I'm just going to trim that a little bit further, because I want those ends to be quite short. Okay, and that is going to go over the middle of the letter O, and I'm going to use wet adhesive to put it down. I could have used a glue dot, but if you've watched this channel at all, you may know that glue dots and I are not the best of friends, quite honestly. For some reason, glue dots hate me. So I'm going to use wet adhesive, and then I'm going to let that dry. All I've got left to do now is to attach my front panel to my base card, and I've gone ahead and applied my tear and tape to the back of the panel. And I could have used, I probably wouldn't have used snail because I think it might have been just a little bit too heavy for it. But certainly I could have used fast fuse. But I do like this method because it does give me a little bit of time to maneuver my card around and to get it exactly where I want it. And that is just about there, I think. Oops. Tripod there, didn't mean to do that. Okay, and there it is. That is my finished card. And there is my finished card. And I hope very much that you have enjoyed watching this video, and if so, I would absolutely love it if you would leave me a comment or click the like button or share this video. And if you've liked it so much that you'd like to see more of what I'm doing, then please do subscribe to my channel. I will be posting more soon. I post 3 times a week. There's a blog, I have a Facebook page, and if you want to get there you can use the links in the more information box below. And if you also want to find out how you can get your hands on the supplies I used, well, there is a link to my online Stampin' Up store as well. But for now, thank you very, very much for watching, and I do hope that I will see you again soon. Bye bye.